A prisoner from St. Louis is running out of chances to one day be a free man. With Kevin Strickland's exoneration in 2021 and Lamar Johnson's wrongful conviction hearing last month, Chris Dunn wonders if he'll ever get a shot at freedom. Only News 4's Deion Broxton spoke to Dunn as he sits behind bars.
More than 3 decades after his murder conviction, Chris Dunn maintains his innocence.
I can't sit here and tell you what happened during the crime because I wasn't there.
A jury convicted Dunn in 15-year-old Rico Rogers' murder in May 1990.
Other than that, I don't even know Rico Rogers.
2 young boys told police that then 18-year-old Dunn pulled the trigger. Dunn said he wasn't there and claims police and his public defender didn't check out his alibi.
They didn't have a motive. So no, they didn't really have a case except 2 young guys that said I did a crime.
No physical evidence tied Dunn to the case. According to court documents, Rico Rogers was shot and killed not too far from this intersection of Labadee and Clara. Those documents go on to say that there weren't many streetlights around here back in 1990, which likely made it hard to see who pulled the trigger.
I didn't see no shots.
That's one of the prosecution's witnesses, telling a different story than the one given during the 1991 trial. Dunn's family hired a private investigator who recorded this interview in 2017 with the witness.
We don't even know if Rico, to tell you the truth, we don't even know if Rico was the one that supposed to have been shot that night.
Both boys, now adults, recanted their statements pointing to Dunn as the shooter.
Nobody's seen Dunn shoot him.
In his voice, I could hear in his voice like he was telling the truth.
That's Sharon Williams, who says he was in jail with one of Rico Rogers' brothers in 1991. In 2002, Williams wrote a letter to the courts saying Rico's brother didn't believe Dunn pulled the trigger.
And he got to ask me, like, do you know my brother? I'm like, kind of. He was like, do you know Christopher Dunn, a.k.a. they called him Trap then? I'm like, yeah. He was like, I know Trap, he ain't even killed my brother.
A judge allowed the recanted testimony and new evidence in a 2018 hearing. In 2020, a judge ruled Dunn meets the threshold of innocence, but Missouri law doesn't allow a judge to vacate a sentence or allow a new trial. In 2016, the Lincoln versus Cassidy ruling set the precedent to only allowing that right to death row inmates.
I'm innocent, but you're going to keep me in prison for the rest of my life. That right there killed a lot of hope.
In 2021, Missouri passed a law allowing prosecutors to file motions to free prisoners they believe are innocent. This allowed Kevin Strickland to go free in Kansas City in 2021 and got Lamar Johnson a retrial in St. Louis in December.
You see Lamar Johnson on the precipice of potentially becoming free. Does that give you any hope?
No, I don't. I have no hope in the system.
The city attorney's office hasn't petitioned for Dunn to get a new trial. The office tells News 4 the case is still being investigated.
Now, we had to include the highest court in the country to ask them to ask the highest court in the state to do the right thing.
While Dunn waits, his lawyers filed a petition to the U.S. Supreme Court, calling his incarceration unconstitutional. They say it's cruel and unusual punishment. Dunn says he's not only holding on to hope for himself, but the family of Rico Rogers.
They still deserve to know the truth. The victim family is entitled to justice. As long as I'm in prison, and as long as the state holds someone like me, the family of the victim, they would never get their justice.
I reached out to the prosecutor in Dunn's 1991 trial, Stephen Ulmer, who's now a St. Louis Circuit Judge, and the Missouri Attorney General's office both declined to speak to News 4, citing pending litigation.
And Deion, is there a push in Missouri courts to give more power to vacate sentences if someone is believed to be innocent?
So right now we have what's called the freestanding bill in the legislature. It's been filed by Kimberly Collins. She's a Missouri lawmaker who represents parts of St. Louis. Now, as it is right now, the courts can vacate sentences and issue new trials or new trials or hearings if there's clear and convincing evidence for people on death row. That was the precedent set by the Lincoln v. Cassidy case in 2016. So with the freestanding bill, this will allow courts to vacate sentences and issue new trials for everyone if you have a criminal record. But remember, you have to have clear and convincing evidence. This is something I talked about with Chris Dunn, and he's hopeful that they will get passed. But Kimberly Ann Collins, she's a Democrat, and the legislature is Republican, so we just don't know right now if it has any chance of being passed.
We'll have to watch how that transpires. All right, Deion, thank you.
Yeah.